what we talked of today in the session was basically history concerning pre-independence and immediately after that. The transition period during independence. So that kind of history is mostly available because it's living memory. People still relate to it. However, a lot of people, especially from Gujarat, don't know their own history, in the sense that very few people would know that how Gujarat was set up, why it was set up, when it was set up, what were the circumstances in those days, and what is the contribution of various communities in setting it up. So Gujarat in the old days, I mean, if you go back anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 years ago, was basically an amalgam of settlers, right? And who settled them, right? Now, there were a lot of influences. About 1,500 years ago, there were a lot of influences. There were influences coming in from South India, the Chalukyas from South India, the Rashtrakutas coming in from the north, the Persians and the Mlech coming in from the sea route, whatever. And Gujarat basically bearing the brunt of all this. Now, there are two things in Gujarat which stand out. One is its maritime trade, which is still on, and its entrepreneurial spirit. That is the reason why Gujarat basically flourished, why it is still flourishing. If you look at it even till today, it is probably one of the premier states in India, right? Because of its entrepreneurial spirit of the people and the trade that goes along with it. So therefore, I would like people now, especially the newer generation, to know the history of Gujarat from, let's say, 1,500, 1,200 years ago till date as of today. That is post-independence, maybe around 70, 75 years after independence. I am of the opinion that yes, that makes lovely sense. In fact, the moment I came in today, I told Amit, who set it up, I said, look, you've done a brilliant job. It's not just history, political history. It is history of cuisine, of cinema, of business, of geography. We did archaeology also yesterday. Political history. It's everything. So basically, it's a lovely idea. Till now, I have attended some literature fests, but they're largely literature. They're not history. So, if people have a certain, what do you call, the feeling of finding out things for themselves, it can give a lovely opening. In fact, history, some people would say, oh, what's there in history? It doesn't get you a job. I said, no. If you know your history, you'll know exactly where to go. You'll know exactly what to do. So, it helps. It may not be your mainstream piece of work or whatever like that, but you must know what is this history. And I'm glad that they've done this festival, and I suppose probably they may hold it next year, or maybe they do it on a biennial system every 2 years or whatever. And I hope that it progresses to a much bigger audience. They need a much bigger audience, especially amongst the youngsters. History is a huge subject. It's not as I told you, it's not just political history. It can be anything. You can probably study the history of our clothing. You can probably study the history of our architecture. You can probably study the history of our printing. There's a board outside, so our, whatever. So if that interests you, history makes you think. It makes you to find things. And that basically helps you on later in life when you are looking at prospects of some kind of business or academics or entrepreneurship or anything. So basically, if you know your history and if you know the way you're going to find out about things, then probably it's going to help you. One aspect, of course, is whether you like the subject or not. Of course, you have to like a subject to find out more about it. Otherwise, there is no connect between the two. But yes, it makes you research something. Maybe you want to put out your findings, for the larger public to see. It definitely helps. No doubt about it.